All right, hey guys, welcome to another segment of Tip Time where we take a deep dive into your questions. Tonight we've got a nice one. I think it'll be very applicable for a lot of people. It's from the Surf Girl, and she's asked when she's nose riding or when she's almost there, sometimes she is wobbling off the face of the wave, and she's wondering if that's because she's not in the pocket. Now, just before we get into this one, I think if anyone has any questions for next time's Tip Time, I'm really enjoying reading through these, and it's fun to pick out each one as well. So yeah, leave a comment in the description below and we can get to it next time. Now, to answer that one directly, I think that quite often if you are finding that you're steering off the face of the wave when you're on the nose, there's a couple of things that might be happening. Firstly, we might have our lean on that side of the rail that's closest to the wall of the wave. And if that's happening and we're continuously turning up the wave as we are getting to the nose or on the nose, then we're going to, steer off the face of the wave. You can think of it sort of like you're committing a bottom turn on the nose, and you're steering up, and you eventually get to the point where you're too far up. It also very well could be the fact that you're not quite in the pocket. So we know that if you're not in the pocket and you're on the, further towards the shoulder, and you are high on the wave, you might not be able to be in the critical section that holds you onto the wave. And so if you're too high, you're going a little bit slowly, and that's where you're starting to lose it. So definitely that could be another factor into that as well. What could also be happening is that we're not yet as balanced when we're on the nose. So we probably need to balance ourselves first. And then, we can try and move forward with that nose ride. So we'll speak about that in a second. So if we were to speak about this more generally and just think about stabilizing on the nose or keeping your balance whilst you're on the nose, if you are finding that you're losing your balance, the first step that I like to think about is making sure that you keep low and stabilize first. It's very easy, I think, to rush to the nose. Legs might be straight, the feet might be really, really narrow, and we come into a position that's just not very conducive to keeping balanced, especially if we are in a really tricky part of the wave, tricky part of the board, and we need that stability if we're not used to how that feels. So first thing that I think we should probably do is slow it down, keep nice and low, so compress those knees and keep that chest low and forwards as well for balance. And then what we can also do is make sure that we adopt a wide stance. So step number 2 here would be adopting a wide stance first. This is really important because it increases our base of support and also brings a lot of our weight or pressure further back on the board, which is going to be more stable anyway. From here, we can start off in this low position and with a wide base of support, and we can then, once we feel stable and once the board has leveled out, we can then move through to the nose and add our style on top of that as well. I think quite often what we might be doing is trying to go for that nose ride no matter what the position of the nose is at the start. So if we've got a bit of a natural lean to that inside or outside rail, we're going to be tilting the board in that direction, which again is not going to allow the board to stay tight and hold in that perfect section. So stabilize first, keep nice and low. Once you feel confident that the board's projecting and trimming nicely through the wave, then you can have a little bit of fun with it. Now, I think another scenario that could be really tricky to keep your balance when you're nose riding is if you're in a really fast or critical section. And for this, you can probably guess, I'm going to say a pretty similar thing. If you feel like you're going really, really fast on the wave, and I suppose naturally that's going to be a lot harder to maintain your balance whilst you're in the critical section and on the nose. Again, make sure that we're staying nice and low and we adopt a wide base of support as well. Again, just like I would say for the beginner surfers who are trying to keep their balance for the first time whilst riding on the green face or even in the white water, making sure you adopt a wide low position. I still do this on the nose. I'll have a wide low position, and then once I'm comfortable, then when the position on the wave starts to settle down a bit, or I'm really locked in and it's nice and stable, that's when I can have a bit of fun with it. Come and do a nice soul arch, go to the hang 10, do a nose trick or something like that, but only once that nose is stabilized properly. Something else that could help is if you orientate your body position forwards rather than side to side. I find quite often if we are new to the nose ride position, what we might find is the heel and toe go directly across that stringer, and so there's no real angle there. This can be then very easy if we have a lean one way to place our weight on that inside rail or that outside rail, if we naturally place weight more on the toes or more on the heels, similar to what we spoke about before. What I like to do instead is make sure that our feet are diagonal across that stringer and that we have that chest facing forwards as well. In this way, we can try and gauge or filter our weight forwards and backwards from that back foot to the front foot, which is going to be a much more balanced distribution of our weight across the board than going heel toe or from one side of the rail to the other side of the rail. So that's just something to think about as well. And along the similar lines there, it's making sure that you do also keep your weight on the back foot. So you'll have heard me talk about a bunch of times the toe poke. Again, really fundamental, really important. If we can make sure we're filtering most of our weight on that back foot, the board's going to be more stable because we've got our weight over a much more balanced position in the board, and it's just a nice and balanced position to come into as well, where we're just poking that toe forwards and we've got a lot of that weight onto the back foot. I feel like the majority of the time when I see people losing their balance whilst they're nose riding, it's that weight distribution coming also onto that front foot. More rarely do I see people lose balance when their back foot is carrying most of the weight and their chest is forwards, because that's a really nice steady position to be in. And we have spoken a lot about our own sort of technique and how the body should be positioned, but let's just talk quickly through the positioning on the wave as well. So reasons that you might not be very well balanced on the nose in terms of your positioning on the wave is, firstly, if you're in those really critical tight fast sections, that can be a reason for it. Alternatively, if you are not set in trim, or if your board is turning whilst you're trying to approach or whilst you're on the nose, that can be a really difficult thing as well. So what I would probably suggest first of all is that you try and lock in your board midway to kind of 3/4 of the way up the face of the wave. Never want to be down the bottom. And then also making sure that you're quite close to the white water. So we want to be critical and we want to stay high. If you can try and master those things, there are some really beneficial things to focus on that can help you stabilize whilst you're on the nose. All right, and I think that just about wraps up this week's tip time. So a little bit shorter today. Still hope it was really useful. Again, let me know if you have any questions based on what we did today, or if you have any questions for upcoming tip times. Again, we'll try and go through those next week. We've got the Sunday glide as usual coming up this Sunday, and another tip time will be coming out in a week. So until then, hope you guys are getting waves, and we'll see you soon.